Hello everyone, welcome back to Kitten Care. I'm Liv, and if you're new to this channel, I'm a teen who has a passion for animal rescuing, but specifically orphaned kittens. So today I'm going to be talking about how to convince your parents to let you foster kittens. My parents at first were didn't really want to let me foster kittens. And then my first litter of fostering kittens, they were maybe you can foster kittens again, but not anytime soon. But now they're 100% open to letting me foster kittens. They think it's great that I love fostering kittens, and they realize that it really does save lives. I have fostered over 40 kittens now in the last 2 years because my parents let me foster kittens. So you have to get your parents' permission to foster kittens if you are under the age of 18. So that's why I'm going to be talking about how you can foster kittens, how you can convince your parents to let you foster kittens. Right now, I'm fostering this cutie. His name is Coda. I've had him since he was 3.5 weeks old. And look how big he is. He's now 8 weeks old and a total chunk. So I wrote down some notes right here. So if I'm looking down, that's kind of why. But let's just get in with the video. So the first thing is, if you already have pets, you want to show responsibility with them. So let's say I currently have 2 of my own dogs and 1 cat that I'm not fostering, plus a gecko and a frog. So maybe let's say your job is to feed the cats but not scoop out your cat's litter box, like your own cats, like your resident cats that you are not fostering, that you own. So maybe your job is just to feed the cats morning and night, but then your job isn't to scoop your cat's litter box. You can maybe show some responsibility by starting to scoop the litter box also. You might not want to do that, but you're going to be scooping litter box with kittens, so if your parents see that oh, you're willing to scoop litter boxes, they'll be more likely to let you foster kittens. Or if you have a dog and maybe your job is to walk the dog once a day and feed the dogs, but maybe you could start bringing them on 2 or 3 walks a day and play with them more and stuff like that, just so you can show responsibility that you can take care of your own pets that you own before you foster kittens through the Humane Society, because you want to show your parents that you are capable of taking care of pets. The next thing is you want to figure out the shelter that you'll be fostering through, their protocol with supplies. I'm pretty sure all foster programs provide vet care. At least every foster program that I've looked into or heard of provides vet care. So tell your parents that, because maybe they don't want to foster kittens because they're scared it's going to cost a lot. But a lot of times they always provide vet care. Sometimes they provide food and litter, but maybe not. So maybe if they don't provide food and litter, just call them, look into it, ask them what they provide if you foster kittens. And if they don't provide food and litter, then maybe you can tell your parents, oh, I'll buy it, or I'll buy half. They'll probably be more likely if you buy it all, but maybe you can't buy it all, so maybe your parents might buy half. My mom personally, so with the shelters that I foster through, one of them doesn't provide any supplies, one of them does provide quite a bit of supplies, but not enough, I guess. Sometimes it's enough, if you only have 1 kitten, they'll provide all of it, but if you have a big litter, they'll only provide some, just because they're limited on supplies. So my mom normally will buy all of the food and litter for me, but I will sometimes buy it just because I like to help her out, so she doesn't have to buy all of it. So maybe you could get a job if you're old enough to help provide the food for them if they don't provide food for you, for the kittens. So maybe you could walk dogs, or if you're old enough to babysit, or maybe your parents can pay you for doing some chores. So you can kind of trade, oh, I'll do chores for you if you let me foster kittens, and then, or I'll do chores for you if you buy me food and litter for foster kittens. And they're hey, yeah, if you clean the bathroom, I'll buy you a bag of litter for your foster kittens. Maybe something like that if you're not old enough to get a job. Or for birthdays and Christmas or any holiday, maybe you could ask, instead of presents, to get food and litter, or a cat tree, or a playpen. All those stuff you could ask for gifts, but I wouldn't necessarily do that unless your parents are going to be willing to let you foster kittens, because you don't want to get all that stuff and then be oh, I'm not letting you foster kittens. But that is definitely a big help. Like, that's what I do. Like, sometimes for birthdays and Christmas and stuff, people ask me, like, oh, what do you want? And instead of saying, oh, I don't know, you could either ask for money so you could buy supplies for them, or just ask for simply cat food, cat litter, KMR, playpens, like, stuff like that. And trust me, they'll be more likely to, like, get you something like that than money sometimes. Sometimes some people don't like giving money as gifts. So instead of just be like, I don't know, and then they end up not getting you something, you'd be like, oh, cat food, cat litter, stuff like that. It'll just really help convince your parents, like, oh, really? She would rather save kittens' lives and get them food and litter than, like, an Xbox? That's awesome. I'm going to let her foster kittens. Stuff like that. So that is definitely a help. I've done that in the past, and that's kind of how I got all my stuff for my kittens. So, yeah. The next thing you're going to do is figure out how much time you can put into a day of working with kittens. So maybe you go to school all throughout the day, and maybe that's stopping your parents from letting you foster kittens. They're totally open to the idea of fostering kittens, but they just don't want to be stuck taking care of them while you're at school. Well, let's say you go to school from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. I feel like that's kind of like an average school day, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. I'm not exactly sure because I'm homeschooled. But that is like 7 hours, I believe, at school. So maybe you can't foster super little kittens, but maybe you could foster 8-week-old kittens that you could feed. Oh my gosh, he just climbed up my back. You could feed before you go to school, and then as soon as you get back from school. You could put out a lot of extra dry food if they're on dry food already, or maybe your parents would be willing, if you had like 6-week-old kittens, to just go in there, feed them one time a day. You could tell them all they have to do is open up a can of cat food, put it on their plate, and that's it. Or something like that if you go to school. Now, if you're homeschooled, then that is even better because you can foster younger kittens that need to be fed maybe every 3 to 4 hours. Or even 2 to 3 hours. So just kind of figure out how often or how much time throughout the day you'll be able to put into fostering kittens, and then figure out what age of kittens and then explain that to your parents and come up with a game plan of what age of kittens you would be able to foster. Since I'm homeschooled, I can foster newborn kittens. And then obviously I'm going to have them when they're 8 weeks old because that's when I just keep them, until they're ready for adoption. But just figure out what age of kittens you would be able to have time to take care of and talk to your parents about that. The next thing that you're going to want to do is become knowledgeable of fostering kittens. What that kind of means is you're going to want to know what it's like to foster kittens. So I like watching Kitten Lady's video. I will link her channel down below, and she has great instructional videos and informational videos on how to care and like bathe kittens and stuff like that. So you can become super knowledgeable and then tell your parents the information you know, and like, oh wow, you really know a lot about kittens. I think that you are smart enough and capable of fostering kittens. That really helped. And also Kitten Lady, she does events all around the US. I think even sometimes I think she did one in Australia before and in Canada. I'm not exactly sure. But she does events all over the place. So maybe for like your birthday, you can save up money for you and your mom to go to one event of hers. Maybe there's like a city nearby you, or she's even coming to your city. You could go to that, and then your mom might be like, she'll talk a lot about, and she can help convince your mom because she'll be listening to all the information and be like, oh wow. And she talks about how many kittens like die every year, all about kittens. So your mom or your parent or guardian or whoever you're living with, will be more likely to foster kittens. My mom, she was like, yeah, she allowed me to foster kittens before I went to the Kitten Lady event where I got to meet her. But after the event, she was like, oh wow, I didn't realize like how much of a need there is for a foster. Like, I'm gonna definitely let you foster more now because I realized how much of a need there is for fosters. So maybe something like that, your parents will probably be more likely to let you, because they'll realize Kitten Lady is really good at talking about like the need for fosters. So maybe if you want to save up money to buy tickets for your mom and you, or your parent guardian and you, whoever you're living with and whoever you need to convince to let you foster, then you'll be more likely to go. Because if you're like, hey mom or hey dad, can I go to this? And they're like, how much is it? And you tell them the price, and they're like, no. I mean, her events aren't that expensive. I think they're like $50. I'm not exactly sure. I have no idea. But they'll be like, no. But then maybe you're like, hey, I have this money. I'll buy me and you a ticket to go. Can we go? They're like, sure. You could tell them that if a kitten is under a pound, they cannot stay in the shelter overnight, or at least in all the shelters I work with, that's their protocol. I'm pretty sure it's all shelters protocol. If they're under 1 pound, which is about 4 weeks of age, they cannot stay in the shelter overnight. That means if they cannot get a foster, they will be euthanized. Now, if they're under 2 pounds, they cannot be adopted. So if they're in between the 1 and 2 pound range, they can stay in the shelter overnight, but they might not be able to get proper care. So tell your parents that if a kitten is under a pound, they cannot stay in the shelter overnight. And if they're under 2 pounds, they will not be able to get adopted, so they'll be sitting in the shelter. And that kittens under 2 pounds, hundreds of thousands of them die every year in shelters. I believe it's like 500,000 or something like that, just of kittens under 2 pounds, which are the unadoptable kittens. And no kill does not include baby kittens. So your mom would be like, oh, well, this shelter's no kill, so like they aren't going to be euthanizing kittens. Nope, you cannot foster kittens because, oh, they're not killing them anyway, so there's no need. Yes, there is a need, but like your parents might say that. Well, no kill does not include baby kittens. I have a whole video about that I will link down below about how no kill does not include baby kittens, which is so sad. Kittens do not do well in shelter environments, so even if they are in between the 1 and 2 pound mark and they can stay in the shelter, they are not adoptable yet, they do not do well in shelters environments because they have little human interaction and they might not get proper care. There are tons of illnesses in shelter environments from all the other pets. So, oh, my kitten just tried knocking down my camera. So they will get sick easily, could pass away easily, and just have a lot of medical problems because there are just so many illnesses in the shelter environment that they will not be able to do well in there. So maybe your parents are like thinking about, letting you foster, but they're like, I don't know how you are with pets. Maybe you don't have a pet of your own to prove responsibility, or maybe you do and your parents just want to see that you can be even responsible with other pets. Maybe you could start volunteering at an animal shelter. So a lot of animal shelters allow children to volunteer, but normally the parent or guardian has to volunteer as well. So it'll be a great experience for you and your parent to volunteer together at an animal shelter because like you're both taking care of animals. Maybe they don't want to do that, so maybe you could do it with like your aunt or uncle or even like your cousin who's over the age of 18. I think that they could also volunteer with you if your parents don't want you to, like don't want to volunteer. You just have to have an adult with you. So that way it would be awesome. Even if your parents don't want to volunteer with you, that would be awesome if they do, because they'll be more likely to like, oh, see all the animals in the shelter that need fostered. But if not, then you at least get experience. You just have to have an adult with you. Next thing is fostering is just like babysitting someone's pet. You normally only have fosters for 2 to 8 weeks of 8 weeks, depending on how long or how old your foster kitten is whenever you get them. So let's say you get them whenever they're 2 weeks old, you'll probably have them for about 6 weeks. If you get them when they're a newborn, you're probably gonna have them for about 8 weeks. If you get them when they're 6 weeks old, you're probably gonna have them for about 2 weeks. Maybe they're 7 weeks old, you probably might only have them for like a week. So maybe you could start off with a litter. Maybe you're able, you have enough time to take care of young kittens, but maybe your parents don't want you to have kittens for 8 weeks long. So maybe you could get like a 7-week-old kitten that only needs like a week to gain a few more ounces to be able to be 2 pounds to get adopted. So that is great. You could foster one of those first, like, hey mom, this kitten will only be in our house for a week, it won't be a big deal. And she'll be like, okay, yes, you can give it a try. And then prove her that you're really responsible, and then boom. She'll be like, oh yeah, you can start fostering now. You're like, awesome. You can start fostering all the time. That's great. You can start fostering newborn kittens now. Really, I think just starting off with an older kitten that you'll have for a shorter amount of time is better. The next thing is sit down with your parents and watch videos of people fostering kittens so they can see what it's like. Watch some of Kitten Lady's videos. Like I said, I'll link her channel down below. She has so many great videos. Even just watch some of my videos with your parents. Just watch some videos of fostering kittens with your parents so your parents can see what it's like to foster kittens. And they're like, oh, cute little kittens. And then they will be probably more likely to allow you to foster kittens. Figure out your setup for fostering kittens. Maybe you don't have an extra room in your house to foster kittens. Well, check out my videos about how to set up space for fostering kittens of all ages. I'll link, there's 3 videos about them. How to set up a space for kittens 0 to 3 weeks of age, how to set up space for kittens 3 to 6 weeks of age, and then 6 to 9 weeks of age. I'll link all 3 of those videos in the description box down below, and then maybe show your parents them, and then decide like, oh, newborn kittens only need a tote. That can go next to my bed. Oh, kittens 3 to 6 weeks of age only need a playpen. That can go under my window. Kittens, 6 to 9 weeks of age only need a small room or bedroom. I have a big walk-in closet and I don't really keep much in it. That could be it. Oh, I have a bathroom. My house has 2 bathrooms. One of them can be used for kittens for the short, 2 or 3 weeks that they'll only be in there. It's really easy. Just convince your parents and decide a plan of where you would keep the kittens and tell them your plan. Next and last thing is tell them you'll do all the work. Tell them that they won't even have to be responsible for it. All they'll have to do is drive the kittens there and back. Maybe find the closest shelter so your parents aren't having to drive 40 minutes there. My closest shelter to my house is about 30 minutes away, which kind of stinks because my mom at first was like, I don't want to drive 30 minutes there because they have to go in for preventative care every 2 weeks. So at first my parents didn't want to do that, but then they realized it's just twice a month, it's okay. And then last but not least, just show them all the cute kittens. Show them cute pictures of kittens. Be like, Mom, these kittens are dying in the shelter. Grandma, these kittens are dying in the shelter. Whoever you are trying to convince to foster kittens, just show them that. And then they'll be like, oh my gosh, that's so sad. And yeah, and then the last thing is maybe make kitten toys. I know that before I started fostering kittens, I started making kitten toys, and then I showed my parents, hey, these could be for my foster kittens. And I was like, you're right. You're putting a lot of work into this and getting ready for foster kittens. I'll just let you. Maybe you could buy some, fabric and make blankets for your foster kittens. Or even if, you don't want to make all that stuff, if you're like, oh, my parents are not going to let me, donate them to the animal shelter. Your parents will be like, oh, you really care a lot about animals. Maybe I'll let you foster kittens. So I hope that video really helped. Convince your parents to let you foster kittens. And thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment down below if this video helped you guys convince your parents or whoever you're living with to let you foster kittens. And bye!